Wander over yonder, in The Return to Equestria written by Angel Shy 24, Close Encounter. Wander and Sylvia had a close encounter with Little Bits despite not realizing that it actually was Little Bits when they came upon the C.M.C again. After they had left with Rarity with Little Bits still with them, Twilight decided to treat Wander and Sylvia to have lunch with them at the Ponyville Hay Burger joint along with Applejack and Fluttershy. Once Wander and Sylvia tasted what they ordered, they were quite surprised of how good it actually tasted to them, especially Wander. Wow, you were all right. This hay burger tastes amazing. Who would have thought that hay with veggies and buns would be such a good combo? And these fries, Mova magnifique. Told you it was, said Twilight. It never hurts to try something different, right? You're darn right about that, said Sylvia as she scarfed down 3 more of the 10 burgers she ordered. My compliments to ZE Chef. Well, I guess we shouldn't be surprised, Applejack chuckled. You really eat like a horse, Wander exclaimed. Why yeah, that's it. Fluttershy was quite astonished to see how much Sylvia was scarfing down herself. I've never seen someone eat so much, well, except maybe Pinkie Pie. That pony can really pack it away. But how does she stay so fit? It's a mystery to us all. After swallowing her food down, Sylvia looked over at Wander to ask him a question. Hey, Wander, there's something I've been meaning to say to you earlier, about that cat. What is there to talk about? Wander replied, other than that you wanted to squeeze her in your arms and squish her little cheeks. Why yeah. But I'm not sure. When I looked at that kitten, I had a weird feeling in my gut. Did she remind you of anybody? Wander thought about it for 3 whole seconds and then said, I don't know. After all, we've met plenty of cuties out there, so I wouldn't begin to think of who it might be. Twilight and her friends heard what they were talking about, but they figured that it was just between them. Seems like she's been a bit suspicious of that cat we saw earlier, said Applejack. I know, said Fluttershy. I wonder why though? And should we really be listening in on their conversation? Well, who knows what kind of creatures they've seen out there, Twilight stated. The ones they've told us about was probably just like scraping the barrel. Are you sure that you can't think of anyone, said Sylvia to Wander. There was something about that cat rubbed me the wrong way. Sylvia, stop worrying so much, said Wander. I am sure that little cat is completely harmless and isn't who you may think she is. Am I right or am I right? Listening to Wander, Sylvia figured that he was right, that she was letting things go to her head again and making her question about things. Yeah, I suppose that you're right. Maybe I am going a little haywire. She then picked up another one of her sandwiches and was about to scarf it down gullet. Nothing that a few more of these babies can't fix. Just then, after taking a big bite, Sylvia was about to bite down again, but she suddenly stopped when she noticed something poking out from between the buns and its contents. It was Discord, sticking his head out, flashing a grin at the shocked Zebornak. Hello again, dear friend. Aha! Sylvia screamed as she took the sandwich and threw it across the building, causing some nearby ponies to duck and letting it smash into a window. What the hey did you do that for? Applejack questioned. Was there a roach in your sandwich or something? Not exactly. Sylvia growled. Wow, now that was a doozy, said Discord as he suddenly appeared back at their table and brushing himself off. I sure hope I didn't scare you too much. Discord, Twilight groaned, of course. Wander was quite happy to see him as he jumped up in his seat and shouted, Discord, nice to see ya again. I'll find your little antics hilarious. Sylvia begged to differ. Yeah, if you can call appearing in someone's sandwich and nearly scaring them half to death hilarious. Seems like someone can't put up with a little chaos, said Discord. I would have expected more from one who has been wandering around the galaxy. He suddenly made a silhouette of Wander and Sylvia walking around appear above his hand. You must have seen some weird stuff out there. That still doesn't give you the right to pop your head out of someone's sandwich, Sylvia shouted. She then looked at the remaining burgers on her plate and lightly pushed it away. Ugh, now I've lost my appetite. What are you doing here, Discord? Questioned Twilight. What? Can I not suddenly hang out with some of my best friends in Ponyville? Not if you're up to too much mischief, said Applejack suspiciously. Discord then disappeared and then reappeared beside Fluttershy holding a feather duster and cleaning rags, telling her, by the way, Fluttershy, I thought that I should let you know that I did a little sprucing up in your cottage. You know, making it a little nicer and cleaner. I hope you don't mind. Oh, not at all, Fluttershy responded. That's pretty nice of you to do, Discord, thanks. I know it is. I even gave that little drowned I mean, little bunny friend of yours a bath. He seemed to be kinda dirty. Fluttershy thought about what Discord said and felt a little confused. That's weird, I gave Angel and a few other animals a bath just this morning. Really, said Discord trying to sound honest, I didn't notice. Oh well, can't be helped. But most of them didn't buy it, especially Sylvia. More like he couldn't help himself. Twilight rolled her eyes and was about bite into the remains of her burger. But then Discord appeared beside her holding a dish in front of her that had a familiar item. Quesadilla, princess, AHH. Twilight freaked out and smacked the dish down on the ground with her hoof, splattering the content all over the floor. Discord looked down at it with a fake sad face. Such a waste. You could have just said no, you know. Oh, don't think you didn't know about that, said Twilight with a light glare, and she shivered once again when she looked at the splattered quesadilla. Why do you think she did that to a perfectly good-looking quesadilla, said Yonder curiously to Sylvia. Beats me, Sylvia sighed, but I'm sure that lunatic knows. Fluttershy lightly tapped on Discord to gain his attention and calmly told him, Discord? Do you think that maybe you toned down on the chaos a bit? We're kind of trying to have a nice little bite to eat here. Of course, said Discord, I didn't mean to intrude. Mostly. Allow me to join in. He suddenly sat a table floating in the air in front of him and restored the splattered quesadilla on a plate. At least I brought my own food. He bit into it slowly while looking at Twilight stretching the cheese across from his mouth. So cheesy. Twilight shivered more as she laid her head down on the table and lowly groaned. I am not exactly sure what's going on here, said Yonder, but I am starting to sense some aura of awkwardness here. Discord tends to make situations awkward for his own amusement, Applejack stated. Just a good reason to like him, I guess. So, just out of curiosity, said Discord, have any of you seen anything weird or unusual today? You mean besides you, said Sylvia. Discord's hand disappeared from his arm and appeared beside Sylvia as he pinched her cheek. Oh, you're so hilarious. And then he poofed it back on. Not that I know of, said Fluttershy, everything is the same today as it has been for a while now. There's nothing unusual going on, to us anyway. Are you sure about that? Discord questioned. They were all wondering why Discord was asking such a question and being so stern about it. But then, Twilight suddenly said, actually, now that I think about it, there is one thing that seemed a bit unusual. Oh, do tell, said Discord, curious of what she was going to say. Are ya talking about that little cat my little sis and her friends had, said Applejack. She did seem a little unusual for a cat, but she looked normal to me. I know, but there was something about her that made me wonder otherwise. You too, Sylvia said suddenly. Oh, thank Grob. I thought I was being crazy thinking that I was the only one who thought so. But I guess it's no big deal, said Twilight. A cat is a cat, right? Nothing unusual about that. Why would you bother asking us a question like that anyways, said Applejack looking suspiciously at Discord, unless it's just a setup for something you have planned. Discord gasped, sounding like he was appalled by what he heard. What? How could you accuse me of such a thing? It was just a simple question, no need to be suspicious just because it's me. No offense, Mr. Chaos Guy, said Sylvia. Discord, Yonder whispered to her. Whatever. You say that we shouldn't be suspicious, but knowing you, I'm afraid that's a little hard to do. In fact, that's exactly why we should be suspicious. However, Fluttershy wanted to believe that he wasn't trying to be suspicious, especially during the period of what was taking place the next day. I don't know, Sylvia, I think that maybe he's telling the truth. You really should give him the benefit of the doubt. He's not always up to something. Thank you so much, Fluttershy, said Discord, giving Fluttershy a light hug. At least someone here trusts me. That is the reason why we are such good friends. Suddenly, an hourglass had appeared beside him. All its sand had reached the bottom and then strangely exploded. Oh my, would you look at that? Time sure flies when you're hanging out with good friends. Where are you going? Said Sylvia. Off to important chaotic business. Exactly, said Discord as he pinched Sylvia's cheek again. You know me so well already. Ciao for now, my dear pony friends, and alien friends. May you enjoy the rest of your day. With that, Discord disappeared, leaving the others feeling awkward and a bit on edge. What a guy, said Yonder, he sure knows how to have a good time. Sylvia just lightly growled as she rubbed her cheek to get as much essence of Discord off of her. Not to worry, Sylvia, said Twilight nervously. Everyone's first impression of Discord weren't always positive and encouraging, but in hindsight, he's just having some fun, even if it is to have a little laugh at somebody's expense. You'll come to accept his oddly friendship ways. We can hope, Sylvia said with a sigh. Yonder suddenly eyed the rest of Sylvia's burgers on her plate and licked his lips as he asked her, Hey, You going to finish those, Sylvia looked at her plate, and suddenly the sickening feeling was already gone. You know what? My appetite's back. But why don't we share the rest? Wander was all up for that. Sure thing. I love sharing. After the CMC helped out Rarity in her boutique, she took them and treated them to ice cream at the ice cream shop in the town. They took Little Bits, who they named Snowball, along with them of course, and even shared some of their ice cream, which Little Bits didn't seem to mind too much. But unfortunately for her, some of the Crusaders' friends were there and saw Little Bits with them. They surrounded the CMC to get a better look at Little Bits due to her strongly cute appearance attracting them. Oh my goodness. What a cute little kitty cat. She's so precious. The CMC weren't counting on this to happen, but they figured they'd make the best out of it. No, isn't she? Said Apple Bloom with a proud smile. She's the cutest thing we've ever seen. What's her name? Her name is Snowball, Apple Bloom responded. Say hi, Snowball. Little Bits loved the dairy and the ice cream, but she was becoming to feel very uncomfortable having all of these other young foals surround her and constantly sweet talk towards her. It's so degrading, she thought while keeping on a straight face, surrounded by even more pony boits, just what I needed. But she knew that it would be useless to resist. She had to keep her cover up going to keep her true identity from being discovered. Just go with it, Little Bits. Just go with it. This is just like your views with Wander and Sylvia. In the end, you will get what you want. But, now, she set herself up and got into a cute sitting position showing her shimmering eyes and let out a strong me-oh-oh-oh. Her plan worked, perhaps a little too well. That little act alone won over the foals' hearts more than before. Ayo vuvu, I want to pet her little head. Let me scratch her tummy. Can I hold her? Scootaloo then got in front of them and said, now, every pony. There's plenty of this kitty to go around. Just don't crowd her too much, Sweetie Belle chuckled. I don't think she likes that. Little Bits braced herself as each of the foals that were there took turns in holding her while others petted her in different ways. It was enough to make her sick to her stomach, but not literally. After a while, the CMC headed out of the shop and went back into town while Rarity went back to her boutique to take care of the huge mess that was there. Little Bits was laying in the wagon as she was being pulled in the wagon, slightly shaking and a bit horrified of what took place some moments ago. However, the Crusaders didn't seem to notice. Wow, Snowball is just becoming a real crowd pleaser, isn't she? Said Apple Bloom. Those friends of ours really liked her, said Sweetie Belle. They couldn't wait to hold her and show her love. We were so popular with Snowball. However, Scootaloo brought up an important topic. Let's just make sure to not make ourselves too popular. We all know how that may turn out. Oh, we do, Apple Bloom and Sweetie both responded. This attention is getting tiresome, Little Bits thought to herself as she glared at the Crusaders. I shan't be wasting this time with these idiots. I just wish I knew where those two bozos are at this time. Maybe have them pass by these three again like when I was asleep. Just then, she heard voice nearby that she recognized all too well. Well, it's interesting on how we keep bumping into each other like this. Speak of the devil. She turned around and saw that the Crusaders had ran into Wander again apart from what she heard earlier. And with him was Sylvia, as well as some other ponies that were with them. She lightly smirked, finally seeing her targets in her sights. By looks on your faces, said Twilight, I'd say that the three of you had some fun. We sure have, all three Crusaders responded happily. Wander then looked over at the wagon behind them and saw Snowball, aka Little Bits, up and awake. She got startled as Wander suddenly zipped over in front of her with his usual bright grin. And look who's awake. Even Sylvia decided to come over and see the kitten in her woken state. Hey there, Snowball. It's so nice to see ya while you're not asleep. I am Wander, and this my best friend, Sylvia. Say hello, Syl. Sylvia just looked at her with a melancholy expression and said, hey there, nice to meet ya. As Wander continued to say things to the others, Little Bits was plotting her next move against the alien duo. At worst, they're white here. Wander and Sylvia are white here in front of me, and they still have no idea that it's me. What moans. If I wanted to, I could leap into action and bag those two white now, seeing that I would have the element of surprise. But with all of these acquaintances of theirs around, something tells me that they won't make it easy for me to get away with them, not to mention that my cover will be blown in the process. I finally have them in my sights and I'm stuck at this predicament. Wander was still going on and on the way he always does, and it was driving Little Bits crazy. Ugh, I almost forgot how much that little weirdo talks. By the way, you three, said Twilight to the Crusaders, where's Rarity? Wasn't she still with you? Yeah, she was with us, said Scootaloo. She just finished treating us to ice cream. We also ran into a few of our friends there who took a real liking to Snowball. Afterwards, she left us to take care of things back at her boutique, Apple Bloom added. Why? Did something happen? Applejack questioned. You could say that, said Sweetie Belle in an unnerving tone. While we were helping my sister in the bottom level of her place, there was a loud boom sound up top. We went up there, the whole place was a mess. We were a bit worried since Opal and Snowball was amongst it, but they were okay, a bit rattled up, but okay. Sylvia became curious of what they were talking about as she came over to them and asked, so who or what caused the mess? Did any of you stop and think that maybe one of the cats did it? More importantly, that one. Little Bit saw Sylvia pointing at her and lightly growled under her breath. Well, I suppose that it is possible for one of them to cause the mess, if not both of them, said Sweetie Belle. But I'm sure none of them could cause a giant crater to form in the middle of place, Scootaloo added. I'd hate to see what made it. Oh my, Fluttershy gasped hearing how bad the problem was. Twilight felt worried for Rarity and said, maybe I should go over there. She could need some help. I'll go too, said Applejack. You better not, Sweetie suggested. You know my sister, she has a system in her boutique. She would rather just do herself. Don't worry, she'll be fine. Twilight and Applejack thought about it for a second, and then figured that maybe it was for the best. Twilight responded, I guess we'll respect her decision. Suddenly, Wander zipped back over to the others and said, Hey, Crusaders, care to come with us? We're going over to the bowling alley to see if I can get a perfect 300 against Sil here. Heh, not a chance, buddy, said Sylvia with a smirk. We'd love to, said Apple Bloom, but sadly it's getting a bit late for us and we have to finish getting things ready for tomorrow. But don't worry, we'll be able to hang out more then. Sylvia just chuckled and told them, well, don't let us hinder you from that preparing. Knowing you three, you'll need plenty of energy to last during tomorrow's celebration, not that I doubt you will. By the way, if you guys are staying for the celebration tomorrow, said Sweetie Belle, where are you going to stay at? That was a good question that Wander and Sylvia never thought over. It was important to them that they would a good night's sleep at a decent place at least. I never really thought about that, said Sylvia. We do need a place to sleep, don't we? You can always stay at our place, said Apple Bloom pleadingly. You're more than welcome to do so. Seems tempting, but I don't know. Wander thought up of other ideas that he thought would be great. Well, we could always stay Rarities, or maybe Pinkies, or maybe Fluttershy's, or maybe, are you guys kidding? Shouted Scootaloo. You guys are huge guests here and we owe you too big. It's only obvious that you two should stay at Twilight's place, her castle. Suddenly, both Wander and Sylvia's eyes lit up hearing what Scootaloo said. Just the idea of sleeping in a royal palace brought a smile on their face. Oh yeah, Sylvia chuckled, almost forgot about that option. Twilight didn't even have a second thought though. She was more than happy to offer that option. She looked over at the alien duo and told them, well, maybe Scootaloo is right. I guess we do owe you two a lot, so, as the Princess of Friendship, I humbly request that you two spend the night at my place, no questions asked. Wander did a little squee of excitement and then gave a little bow towards Twilight and said in a gentlemanlike manner, now how can we say no to that? We humbly accept your offer of hospitality, Your Highness. The whole time, Little Bits was watching and listening to what they were talking about, and a little malicious smile appeared on her face as a wonderful plan brewed up in her head. So, they're going to stay at her castle, was it? She looked in the distance and noticed the towering castle, and I'm guessing that huge, towering castle in the distance is the place. How perfect. Now that I know where those two saps will be sweeping, I finally have a chance to get the dwop on them. I'll just get away from this Philly at the right time, sneak into the castle, and then using my quiet, stealthy moves and soft paws, I'll use one of my toys to make sure those two don't wake up. And then, I'll finally be able to capture them and make my escape to complete my mission. But I probably have to do it quickly and swiftly to make sure I don't wake up that princess or else she'll be able to use magic on me. But other than that, this plan is perfect. I'm finally going to win. Ha 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 ha. Suddenly, Wander noticed Little Bit smiling and lightly chuckling and went back over to her with shimmering eyes. Aw, look at that cute little smile. She must be happy about something, aren't ya? Yeah, lil cutie. Sylvia came and tugged Wander slightly away from Little Bit's telling, you really shouldn't keep doing that, you'll end up frightening her. Just then, she noticed the little bag that was laying in the wagon and stated, that's an interesting looking toy she has. Sylvia reached for it to check it out, but then the kitten they knew as Snowball suddenly hissed and swiped at Sylvia and then grabbed the bag holding it close to her while glaring. Whoa, Sylvia shouted, ugh, a bit protective of that thing, isn't she? Yeah. We're not sure where it came from, said Apple Bloom, but she's obviously talkingly keen to it. I can't get it away from her. Twilight knew of the time that was going by and mentioned to Wander and Sylvia, well, the day isn't getting younger. You two still going to bowl with each other to prove who is the best. Oh, you bet you're tattooed butts we are, said Sylvia flexing her arm. You ready for this, Wander? Oh yeah, Wander shouted willingly, I am ready. To strike the floor with you. Gee get it? 'Cause, instead of wipe, I said strike, as in, getting a strike, in bowling. Sylvia rolled her eyes and smirked as she answered, yeah, I get it, Wander. I thought it was funny. Apple Bloom chuckled. Hee, me too, said Sweetie Belle. Scootaloo however just shrugged her shoulders and said, meh, it was alright. Applejack was then taking her leave of the others. Okay, well you two have fun with your little bowlin' match. I'll have things to finish up at the farm. See ya. After she left, Wander looked over at Fluttershy and asked, are you still comin', Miss Fluttershy? Please say yes, please say yes, please say yes. Fluttershy was hesitant to answer right away and didn't want to upset Wander, as if she could, but she decided to forget about the past and said, oh, why not? I guess I'll come and watch you too. Just, let me get a helmet better to be safe than sorry. Well, she was forget it for the most part. Works for me, Wander shouted in excitement, Ponyville Bowling Alley, here we come. Sylvia went over to Twilight and whispered to her, why is she so jumpy about going to a bowling alley anyway? I know she's the nervous type, but still. Twilight looked at her nervously remembering what happened and told her, let's just say that she saw a miss-swing accident at the bowling alley that scared her for a while. I'm almost afraid to ask, Sylvia chuckled. Wander hopped on Sylvia's back, and then the duo took their leave with Twilight and Fluttershy, leaving the Crusaders to go on with their evening. Come on, Snowball, said Apple Bloom, let's go see who else wants to lather you up with adoration. As the Apple Bloom was pulling her along in her wagon, Little Bits had turned around and was strongly glaring at Wander and Sylvia in the distance. But she was no longer upset as she chuckling under her breath while softly saying to herself, that's white. You two go on and enjoy your whittle game of bowing. It's going to be the worst moment of enjoyment that you will experience here. And tonight, while you're all tucked in and sound asleep, you'll never see me coming. By tomorrow, you'll attend a potty your farewell potty. She began to laugh evilly with delight, but then the moment was ruined when she felt something caught up in her throat. She coughed and hacked until she suddenly threw up a hairball in the wagon. The Crusaders heard and turned around to see her lying on her stomach with the hairball in front of her. I think she had a hairball, said Scootaloo in slight disgust. Don't worry, said Sweetie Belle, Opal has those all the time. She then lightly rubbed Little Bits on her back to comfort her. It's okay, Snowball, just walk it off. Little Bits just lowly grumbled to herself as she thought, ugh. I hate it when that happens. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video make sure to like and leave a comment and share it with a friend. See you all later.